Welcome to Southwest Desert, where adventure meets the arid beauty of the American Southwest. Join us as we explore the rugged landscapes, uncover hidden historical gems, and dive deep into the rich legends and culture of this iconic region. Subscribe now and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on our latest desert adventures. Please leave a like or comment. This is very helpful. Let's journey together into the heart of the Southwest Desert. Imagine traveling from Missouri to California in 1858. No railways span the continent. No highways connect east to west. Just 2,700 miles of rugged terrain standing between you and your destination. Today, on Southwest Desert, we tell the story of how one man's vision connected a divided nation and forever changed how Americans understood their vast country. In the fall of 1858, a 23-year-old New York Herald reporter named Waterman Ormsby sat nervously in St. Louis, about to embark on what he called a historical event, the first transcontinental mail run across the United States. Recently married with a 9-month-old son at home, Ormsby was the only through passenger on the inaugural westbound Butterfield Overland mail stagecoach. What awaited him was a grueling 24-day journey across deserts, mountains, and plains that would test the limits of human endurance. But more than a test of will, this journey represented the dawn of a new era in American connectivity, one that began with a humble stagecoach driver who rose to prominence through sheer determination and organizational brilliance. John Butterfield was born in 1801 in Berne, New York, with limited formal education. His professional life began as a simple stage driver, but what he lacked in schooling, he made up for with an innate understanding of transportation logistics. From those modest beginnings driving horses, he quickly advanced through the ranks, eventually controlling multiple stage lines throughout New York State. His exceptional organizational skills caught the attention of transportation pioneers Henry Wells and William G. Fargo. By 1850, Butterfield had ascended to the vice presidency of the newly formed American Express Company, which he co-founded with Wells and Fargo. But his most significant contribution to American history was yet to come, and it would be made possible by his close friendship with President James Buchanan. On March 3, 1857, Congress passed a post office appropriation bill that would change American history. Section 13 authorized the creation of a transcontinental mail delivery service, an unprecedented undertaking in an age before railroads connected the coasts. The contract specifications were daunting: semi-weekly mail service between St. Louis and San Francisco, with an annual payment of $600,000. The contract would last 6 years, but the selected company needed to commence service within 1 year of signing. When John Butterfield signed the contract on September 16, 1857, he faced an almost impossible task: establishing stations, procuring coaches and animals, hiring personnel, and mapping a route across 2,700 miles of often hostile terrain, all within 12 months. Before a single station could be built, a fundamental question needed answering: which route would the overland mail take? This wasn't merely a logistical question. It was deeply political. Northern states advocated for a northern route. Southern states pushed for a southern pathway, and central route proponents made their case as well. The debate reflected the growing sectional tensions that would eventually erupt into civil war. Postmaster General Aaron Brown, a Tennessean, ultimately selected what became known as the 32nd Parallel Route, a southern pathway through Arkansas, Texas, New Mexico territory, and into California near Fort Yuma. The eastern end featured terminals in both St. Louis and Memphis that converged at Fort Smith, Arkansas. Critics were numerous. Many considered the logistics impossible. The distance between water sources, hostile territory, and supply chain difficulties all presented formidable challenges. Some feared the line, the longest stagecoach route in the world, was simply too unwieldy to succeed. But John Butterfield was undeterred. The route would stretch over 2,700 miles through diverse and treacherous terrain. From the eastern terminals at St. Louis and Memphis, it would connect to Fort Smith, a critical junction where the routes converged. From there, it continued through Indian Territory, crossing into Texas at Colbert's Ferry. The Texas segment presented vast plains, the intimidating Llano Estacado or Staked Plains, and remote stretches of western Texas leading to Franklin, opposite El Paso. After Texas came the New Mexico Territory, followed by a strategic dip into Mexican territory near the New River. Upon entering California near Fort Yuma, the route ascended through mountain passages past Warner's Ranch in Los Angeles, continued through the San Joaquin Valley, crossed Pacheco Pass, and finally reached San Francisco. Each segment required carefully placed stations, typically 15 to 25 miles apart. These stations weren't merely waypoints. They were lifelines providing fresh horses, food, and shelter in some of America's most inhospitable regions. The greatest testimony to Butterfield's organizational genius was that, within 1 year of contract signing, this entire infrastructure was operational: 141 stations, hundreds of employees, and a fleet of stagecoaches and animals were ready to make history. On September 15, 1858, the first eastbound mail departed San Francisco. The following day, the westbound mail left St. Louis with our journalist, Waterman Ormsby, aboard. This one-day offset created historical confusion, with many initially believing the departures were simultaneous. It wasn't until September 28th, when the coaches met at Guadalupe Canyon, that the offset became clear. Ormsby's account, published as 8 comprehensive articles in the New York Herald, provides an unparalleled window into this historical moment. As the only through passenger on the inaugural westbound stage, he documented everything, even privileged conversations with John Butterfield himself, who traveled alongside him for a significant portion of the journey. The Butterfield Overland Mail is an accomplished fact, Ormsby wrote. The route has been traveled in the extraordinary time of 23 days and 23 hours, and passengers and mail matter have been conveyed in absolute safety across a region hitherto considered impassable. Despite the journey's fatigue, Ormsby's writing conveyed genuine enthusiasm for the Overland Mail's future and an explicit recognition that he was witnessing a pivotal moment in American transportation history. After completing the westbound journey, he returned to New York via steamer, a telling contrast between the new overland route and the established sea passage. For 2.5 years, from 1858 to 1861, the Butterfield Overland Mail maintained remarkably reliable service. Coaches departed on schedule, mail arrived with unprecedented speed, and the impossible had become routine. The operation required constant vigilance, adapting to extreme weather, managing security incidents, and implementing technical innovations. The line employed hundreds of station agents, drivers, stock tenders, and other personnel, all working in coordination across nearly 3,000 miles. The company's financial structure evolved significantly during this period. By March 1860, concerns about Butterfield's financial management led to Wells Fargo gaining greater control over the company. Butterfield was eventually removed from the presidency due to mounting indebtedness, and a more cost-conscious president was installed. Despite these internal changes, the service continued to operate efficiently. Mail volume grew, delivery times improved, and the once impossible connection between East and West had become a reliable reality. But external forces would soon disrupt this achievement. As sectional tensions erupted into civil war in 1861, the southern route became increasingly problematic. Much of the line now ran through Confederate territory, creating serious security concerns for Union mail. The Butterfield Overland Mail was formally directed to abandon its southern route and shift operations northward to a more central east-west path. This massive transition required developing new infrastructure, redeploying personnel, and transferring equipment, all while maintaining service. The legacy of the original southern route would live on in the settlements that grew around its stations and the thoroughfares that followed its path. But the Butterfield name would gradually fade from the overland mail service. The final chapter of the Butterfield Overland Mail story came on November 1, 1866, when the Salt Lake City line was incorporated into Wells Fargo's operations. This marked the complete absorption of the overland stagecoaching network into Wells Fargo's expanding transportation empire. Operations west of the Missouri River were standardized under Wells Fargo management, with branding transitions and business model evolutions following. Yet even as the Butterfield name receded from public awareness, the company's enduring legacy was secured. The routes it pioneered became established thoroughfares. Many of its stations evolved into permanent settlements, and its operational standards set benchmarks for transcontinental service reliability. Waterman Ormsby lived until 1908, passing away at 73 years old. His family legacy continued through his surviving spouse, daughter, and 2 sons who became Supreme Court stenographers. But his greatest contribution remains his first-hand documentation of that first transcontinental mail journey, recognized by historians as an important contribution to the annals of transportation. John Butterfield's humble beginning as a stage driver could hardly have predicted his central role in connecting a continent. His vision, organizational prowess, and determination created what many considered impossible, a reliable overland connection spanning America's vast expanses. The Butterfield Overland Mail Company operated for just 2.5 years on its original southern route, but its impact resonates through American history. It demonstrated that East and West could be reliably connected overland, years before the transcontinental railroad would make the journey commonplace. In an age of instant communication, it's difficult to imagine the marvel that was a 24-day mail delivery across the continent. But for Americans in 1858, the Butterfield Overland Mail didn't just deliver correspondence. It delivered the promise that their expanding nation, despite its vast distances, could remain united by the regular exchange of news, commerce, and personal connection. Join my Patreon community and discover my art print products on my website in the links provided in my description and link above. Also, if you would like a particular image from my videos, give the timestamp for image, and I will upload it to my website and Patreon. Thank you for joining your desert frontiersman Alan for another Southwest story. Check out my large catalog of Southwest videos and playlists on historical tales, legends, lost gold stories, and adult bedtime stories. If you like a certain image from my videos, tell me in comments and give timestamp. Happy trails! Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more great content. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.